Many foreign nationals assume that a will reflects absolute freedom of choice. If they draft it properly, their assets will go exactly where they decide. Under Vietnamese inheritance law, that assumption is not always correct. Vietnamese law recognizes the concept often referred to as forced heirship. Certain heirs are legally protected regardless of the contents of a will. This protection operates automatically. Under Vietnamese civil code, specific categories of family members may be entitled to a compulsory share of the estate. This includes minor children, adult children without working capacity, spouses, and parents of the deceased. These individuals cannot be entirely disinherited without legal consequence. Foreign investors and expats often draft wills based on the law of their home jurisdiction. In some countries, testamentary freedom is broad. In Vietnam, however, inheritance freedom is limited by statutory protection of dependents. If assets are located in Vietnam, especially a movable property, Vietnamese inheritance law governs succession to a movable property located in Vietnam. Even if the will is drafted abroad, even if the testator holds foreign nationality. Land use rights and residential property located in Vietnam are governed by Vietnamese inheritance law. If a will distributes such property in a way that conflicts with compulsory heir protections, the court does not invalidate the will entirely. Instead, it may adjust the distribution to ensure that statutory compulsory shares are respected under Vietnamese law. Testamentary intent remains relevant, but it operates within mandatory legal boundaries. A compulsory share is a legally protected portion of the estate that certain heirs are entitled to receive. It exists even if the will allocates assets elsewhere. This share is calculated according to statutory principles. Under Vietnamese law, protected heirs cannot be deprived of their statutory compulsory share simply by being excluded from a will. Minor children, spouses, parents, and adult children without working capacity are entitled to a minimum portion of the estate, unless they fall within legally defined grounds for disqualification under the Civil Code. Attempting to disinherit a protected heir without satisfying these legal conditions will not eliminate their right, it will trigger adjustment by the court. In Vietnam, exclusion in a will does not automatically mean exclusion in law. Vietnamese courts prioritize statutory protection of family members. If a will conflicts with compulsory heir rules, courts may reduce its effect. The goal is balance between testamentary intent and family protection. Some foreign wills include a choice of law clause selecting foreign inheritance law. While relevant, this does not automatically override Vietnamese mandatory rules. Public policy considerations remain decisive. In cross-border estates, different jurisdictions may apply different inheritance regimes. One country may allow full testamentary freedom. Vietnam may impose compulsory shares. Coordination becomes essential. For foreign entrepreneurs with shares in Vietnamese companies, forced heirship can affect equity transfer. Ownership distribution after death may not follow the will precisely. Corporate planning must account for this possibility. Forced heirship issues are particularly sensitive in second marriages. Children from previous relationships may assert statutory rights. Wills that ignore these realities often generate litigation. Strategic estate planning may mitigate forced heirship risk. Asset structuring, lifetime transfers, and coordinated wills can reduce conflict. However, these techniques must comply with Vietnamese law. Do not assume that a foreign will automatically override local rules. Do not rely on informal family understanding. Do not postpone review until after death. A proactive review of your estate plan under Vietnamese inheritance law is essential. This is especially true if you own property in Vietnam or have Vietnamese family members. Prevention is significantly more efficient than litigation. If you have dependents who fall within protected categories, address this explicitly. Align your foreign will with Vietnamese legal reality. Structure your estate with clarity across jurisdictions. This is not a minor procedural issue. It is a structural feature of Vietnamese inheritance law. Ignoring it can materially alter your intended distribution. Testamentary freedom in Vietnam exists, but it is not absolute. Compulsory heir protection is embedded in the legal system. Cross-border families must plan accordingly. Multinational estates, the most restrictive jurisdiction often defines the outcome. If Vietnam is part of your asset structure, its forced heirship regime matters. Clarity today prevents conflict tomorrow. If you own assets in Vietnam or have family members within the categories protected by Vietnamese law, forced heirship must be addressed directly in your estate planning. Assumptions based on foreign testamentary freedom can lead to unintended redistribution under Vietnamese mandatory rules. To align your estate structure with Vietnamese inheritance law and cross-border realities, contact LTS Law at lts.com.vn for strategic legal guidance. In multinational families, clarity about compulsory rights today prevents conflict tomorrow.